Hello, hello, truth seekers all over the world. This is Matthew Beavers with Back to the Covenant. Hope you're having an amazing day wherever you're at in the world. Hope y'all is blessing you. So this is going to be episode number 4 of the Journey to the Truth interview series. And I'm blessed to be joined with Josh from Founded Earth Brothers. What's going on, brother?
How are you, man? It's great to be here. It's a blessing that we have been connected by the Father's hands here lately in these end times.
Yep, it's amazing. So I just want, before we get into it and I start hitting your questions, this is a special interview for me for a couple reasons. So we met in person a couple times. Actually, the last time the first time you did the meetup on Sabbath, and that was awesome. And we need to do another one of those.
Yeah.
And then the last time it was, how many days ago was it?
Seems like yesterday. I think it was
Sunday.
Possibly, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That was exactly a week ago. Yeah,
exactly a week ago.
So he came out, talked about cosmology, scriptural cosmology, during our Feast of Tabernacles celebration last week. So that was a blessing. Thank you for that. All right,
yeah,
so
that was something special.
Ready? I'm gonna hit you with some questions. So share with us a brief description of your personal journey to the truth, some of your testimony.
Yeah, it has been quite the ride, unexpected turns everywhere you look. But it's in summary, I became a fool to this world. And that's what this verse I have here on my mug says, that the wisdom of this world is foolish to our Father. Yep. And to fully understand what that means, it means you better be prepared to become a fool to this world. It's not easy, and it's one of those things you have to be humble to do, like a child. But yeah, like I was saying, it has been quite the journey. It involved miracles that happened, and the very first miracle that happened, I was listening the other day to your testimony with Sean from what's his channel called?
Kingdom in Context.
Kingdom in Context. There you go. I had your channel name in my mind. But Kingdom in Context, Sean, I'm really impressed with that testimony he shared. It reminded me of mine in that he had a heartbreak experience. And that's what I had when I was just fresh out of college. I was 25 years old. I had been saved when I was about 17. And the Father really had used me at that point in my life when I was a young new believer. And of course, I ventured off. I got distracted, got to college, and focused on not academics, of course, but athletics, relationships. Yep. And then right after college, got into a career and just thought it was the dream job. I'm about to get married. This is awesome. And however, life took this crazy turn where the marriage that I thought was about to happen fell through within probably about a month away from the wedding.
Wow, that's tough.
Yeah, it was tough. And so I lost my job. I lost that. Lots of things happened. And the enemy had me believing that this was the end. This is it. You can't go anywhere from here. You're at your lowest of lows. The Father is angry at you. You've put him on a back burner. He doesn't want time with you. All these lies that I just was believing. And so in agony and in pain, what do? It's the same thing many of us do, is I got outside. I was down on my face. I couldn't even stand up. I mean, I was just on my face crying. And I could remember trying to look up and just saying, Father, I know that you wouldn't put too much on me to where I would just, end it all. But I feel like I'm right there at my limit. I want to end it all. And I said, I know that you wouldn't want this to happen to me. And the 3 words that I said that happened right before my miracle were, I trust you. And those 3 words just as soon as the word you came out of my mouth, it was like I got struck by lightning, but not this powerful electric shock. It was like love, like pure Holy Spirit power, love, healing. In the blink of an eye, I was standing on my feet. I don't know how I got to my feet. It was like I went from laying down crying to standing up on my feet. And I felt like I was floating. I really did. I'm looking up. Wow. And I'm just wrapped in this love, this power that I had never felt to that intensity. I'd experienced the Holy Spirit, walked in the Spirit, but this was a new level of just fearlessness, power, healing, all of it, all in one. And when they say the blink of an eye, that's what I mean. It's just boom, you're healed. There was no tingly feeling, some slow. No, it was instantaneous. And as he healed me, he didn't just heal me. He explained to me why I was hurting. Because when you're hurting, you're always saying, why? You're having your pity party. And I would say, why me? What have I done? And that was the answer that he gave me. I was not expecting it. I was expecting, this wrathful father to be like, you're getting what you deserve. I want this to happen to you. And in reality, it became this, you think about like your children, you tell them, look both ways before you cross the road. Yep. You give them these rules, these guidelines for a reason. It's not so that when they mess up, you can punish them. It's so that it's so that they don't die, because you could imagine, your child doesn't look both ways because they're energetic. They run out in front of a car, they get ran over, they didn't obey you. What kind of father is going to be like, told you so, here you are now? And that's kind of, for some reason, what I was expecting. And it was just this outreached hand is what I experienced, that love and that healing. And so that showed me right there, we're lied to about how great his love is. It says throughout the Bible, great is his mercy endures forever. And he picked me up, he restored me beyond new. He didn't just like put me to where I was before the broken heart. It was to a new level. And within days, I was ready to just get going. And that's when I met my wife now, or reunited, I would say.
Nice.
My wife is a miracle. We met when we were like kids, and she was my first girlfriend, my first love. I was like 9 back when we met. And so I ended up meeting with her. And like life does, I got busy again, became a teacher, totally, changed my career choice and career path, became a teacher, and started working on my master's, getting wise in this world, thinking I knew everything, but getting distracted yet again. After all of that, getting distracted, it reminds me of people when the Father sets them free in the Bible and they kind of go their own way. And I still had him in my heart, but I was asleep, like dead asleep. And I felt like lukewarm, dead asleep. And I asked the Father, I said, I know I'm asleep. If there's just any way, just wake me up. I know I'm dead asleep. So just, wake me up. And I didn't know what it would take to wake me up. And it took more miracles. The miracles that came was something that just blew me away again. But it's one of those times where you find yourself in agony and reaching out when you need him most. And that's not the kind of relationship we're supposed to have.
Nope.
It's just, hey, you're there when I need you. And, but he was there, and I couldn't figure out, why are you here? Because I needed a miracle again. And this time it was with my mother. She was diagnosed with cancer and given 2 months to live, and 4 with treatment, 2 months to live if she did nothing. And so I started praying, because she was like me when she got that diagnosis. She said, this is the Father's will. He wants me to die because I've been bad. I drank too much wine, or whatever the excuse was she had. She believed what I believed when I was wanting to end it all, was that this is his will. He wants me to suffer. And it's not like that. When you look at what his son did when he was walking the earth, all he did was raise the dead, heal the sick. The things, he was not undoing his Father's work. He was undoing the enemy's work. And so when I asked the Father to speak to my mom to show her that, I didn't know what would happen, but I was asking him with all that I had, just speak to her, show her the truth. The next day I get a text from her saying, God spoke to me. And so I was like, there's something, he's listening. So somehow this Father, the creator of heaven and earth, is listening to me. So I need to capitalize on this and start asking questions and start asking him to do things. And so I did. I asked him, I knew that she was going to be tricked into using chemo. And I said, I know she's been deceived into this. She doesn't need it. Your healing power is all she needs. But the world is going to convince her to do this. And I need it to be like Paul when he was bit by the snake. Don't let this venom touch her. And so the treatments went by. She said, I don't feel a thing. And she looked great. She looked renewed. She looked like she did before the better than she did before the diagnosis. And so that woke me up. I started going out and praying. I started looking up at the sky, praying. And I said, Father, I was already investigating the evolution stuff. I was teaching biology. I had to teach evolution. And so I was investigating the fraud, trying to expose a little bit of that. I was doing that on YouTube. I was putting together some Bible. I was just brand new to YouTube and trying to put out Bible teachings once it started happening. And as I'm in the midst of that, I said, I know something's off. I want you to show me the truth about creation. I don't care how crazy it sounds, but I ask that it gives glory to you. And little did I know those words, I don't care how crazy it sounds, would play a part in his answer.
Oh yeah.
That was my prayer. and it sounded so crazy because I was talking about Rob Skiba, the man that just passed away. I was going onto YouTube doing my usual search for things, and a video of Rob Skiba talking about the flat earth was right there. And I thought, why is this guy who's so smart talking about something so dumb? Why is it? And it intrigued me because I was like, this is some stoner new age movement. Why is he talking about it? And so I clicked on the video, and he wasn't talking down to people who don't believe that. He was investigating it himself and showing some things that lined up with the Bible, and it got my wheels turning. But when I watched it, I could hear the Father telling me, this is true. And it was like, that's what you can't deny. When he tells you through the Holy Spirit, this is true, it's true. His word tells us it's true. We were blind to it. And so I started my investigation and wanted to prove it. I went and looked at the stars for 7 months straight. Wow. If we're going around that sun, I'm going to notice, because we're going to be looking a different direction. And we never were. The world that we live on, it's not moving. Never has been, and we believed it. We've never seen video of it. We just believe it because of the animations they give us. Was you gonna say something?
Oh no.
Okay. No, but yeah, we believe it, and we believe the world's view before we're old enough to even prove all things. And back when I was getting taught this, I couldn't go on the internet and review the footage. I couldn't review the things that we can now, and so technology has played a huge part in the awakening, because we can look at stuff, scrutinize it, prove all things. So we're in a special time where we can do that. And now with the censorship, it's becoming more challenging to do the things we did back 5-6 years ago. But it is definitely doable if you want to prove that. If you're skeptical and you think the world is a ball and it's moving, that's fine if you can prove it. And it's miraculous. That is something only the Father can do, to put a spherical object covered with water, flying hundreds of times faster than a bullet,
next to a vacuum.
Next to a vacuum, basically a giant spaceship with no walls, and put people on it. That's miraculous. And people always say, well, why would you limit his power to this flat, immovable world with a firmament? That's not limited. That firmament is massive. It's the biggest expanse known to man. He set the sun, the moon, the stars in the firmament for signs and appointed times. And so it's a miraculous thing. We have footage of this firmament. We now have documentation of it. We have all sorts of proofs that it's there. It's not just a speculation or a faith-based thing anymore. We've seen it. And so I can't deny it. It's one of those things you just can't unsee, and it changes the way you look up when you go outside and look at the stars, the sun, the moon. You know what they are, and you know how close the Father is, and why the rest of the Bible starts to make sense. When Yeshua returns, everyone's going to see it. It's not a mystery anymore as to how. I always thought it was technology. And that was my answer, was we're all going to have phones or something, And no, we're going to see them, because this world is flat, and the earth itself isn't flat. Earth is just dry land. And that's why I've changed the name of our channel from Flat Earth Brothers to Founded Earth, because it's founded, it's created, it's on a foundation. It's not moving, and earth is just dry land. So to say that it's flat is kind of not biblical in a way, even though if you were to stretch it out over a hole and zoom way out, it looks flat. But the world itself is flat, and the surface of water is flat. So that is 100% true, and you can prove it over and over again with tests, lasers, whatever you want to put out there.
P900.
P900, P1000, telescopes, just looking at the stars, documenting it, and believing what the Father says. He is true, and the world is a liar.
Man. Well, you just obliterated a bunch of my questions all in once, so that's good.
Yeah.
So from your testimony, it sounds like you're a walking miracle.
Yeah, that was just a couple of the miracles. There's so many more, even from birth, like I have a twin, and from birth, like we were premature, weren't supposed to make it.
Oh, wow.
Like I say, we were 2 months immature and like 10 years, or I was at 2 months premature and 10 years immature. And when we were born, we were definitely, he wasn't supposed to make it. He was like a stillbirth, and they passed
Wow.
on my grandfather's name to me because they thought, he's not going to make it. But my dad and my mom, they fired the doctor that said they're not going, probably not going to make it.
Wow.
They didn't want that kind of faith in the room, so they got rid of them. And
Miracle babies.
yeah, miracles. It was funny. They told our parents, if they do survive, their lungs are so underdeveloped, they're gonna have breathing problems forever. And we did have breathing problems. We had asthma and stuff, but my brother and I became wrestlers in high school. And that was part of this prophecy someone gave us when we were like 13, didn't even know we were going to be doing a sport.
Huh.
But he ended up becoming a Hall of Famer, and was known for his endurance and his lungs. Like, he never got tired. And I thought, how crazy was that? Somebody who was born early with underdeveloped lungs is like, all of a sudden now he's a world beater with, and known for his endurance. And that's what we were sort of known for, was endurance. And it was crazy because it was just a blessing to be given those abilities.
Look at me now, Doc.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in what ways has your life improved since the Father has opened your eyes to the truth in his scriptures?
It's opened up the entire Bible. I think we're all stuck in this realm of influence that goes back to the days of the creeds and the Christian crusades and how they sort of transformed Christianity and put in false teachings. The enemy's been at work. The globe is just a newer lie. It's not even that big of a lie compared to some of the things we've been taught, but it's a very powerful lie and what it does to the minds of those who believe it, even people that are already believers. I didn't realize that it was impacting my faith the way it was, because I remember before he revealed it to me, looking up at the sky, and I was asking him, what is it you're trying to show me? I knew he was trying to show me something, and I knew there was this distance between us. I didn't know what it was, but it turns out the distance was me looking at his creation through a worldly view, and it separated us. And once I realized how close he was, I never had that feeling again when I went outside to talk to him. It was never like, oh, you're so far away, you're light years away. You're right here.
Up there.
Yeah. So it's a game changer. It makes the rest of the word make sense. It gets you on a journey to humble yourself and go, what else have I been lied about?
Yep.
Because a lot of people can't do that. And we get really high and righteous and think we're a part of, out of the 45,000 Christian denominations, we're the right one and we're set on everything. But this truth humbles you. And like you saw when we had our gathering, the people that are there are so humble. They're so unique, and no one said, hey, what denomination are you? I didn't hear that question one time. And that was what I love about it, is that I fellowship now with people that are like, hey, I'm a Muslim, and the Quran says the world's flat too. And I'm like, you know what? 6 years ago, I thought you wanted to kill me, but now I realize we're all on this mission to figure this stuff out. And it's cool that we can talk to people of different backgrounds. I've gone, when we travel now, I used to hate traveling. I would complain the whole time because we're going through airports. We've got 4 kids coming along with us. And so now it's a purpose. I've got a purpose when we go to like Australia or New Zealand or somewhere, back when we could travel.
Yeah.
I would be like excited. I'm like, I want to see somebody. And so I would announce like, hey, we're coming to Australia, and we'd end up meeting people there. And
Nice.
so it's changed, but it's changed me. It's changed my whole family, my mother-in-law, my wife, my brother, my dad, like everybody. It's impacted so many lives in our family. And but the biggest thing to me is that it's impacted other lives. Like, I couldn't, with what I was doing before, I couldn't have reached this many people. And the Father, he opened the floodgates when I said, you're showing me this truth about creation. You're showing me the firmament. I'm going to put this stuff out there. And I said, just send people this way. And the next day I woke up to a email. I went to check my email because I would always check comments. I checked my email, and it said I had a new subscriber, and that was just the same email I had for like thousands of emails. I couldn't see it. They just came in almost overnight. Like, he just opened the floodgates. He's like, okay, here you go. If you're going to do this, I was doing it with a humble heart, doing it for his glory. I wasn't doing it for me. And it was a new approach. I'd already gotten in trouble at work. I left that part out. So the channel I have now, Founded Earth Brothers, was a response to me getting in trouble at work on another channel. And so I just scrapped it, started over, took my face out of it and kept my face out of it until recently. Now I feel like we're at a time where I don't want to hide anymore. Like we're at a time where we need to reach people, and if they
Yep.
fire me for this, so be it. Like this is my personal belief. They have no grounds to fire me for it.
Nope.
It's scientific, it's spiritual, it's religious. There's so many things I can stand on. I would love to go to court. I would love to bring my proof, and have them try to prove that I'm crazy. I'm already a fool to everybody. I think word gets out when you
Yep.
believe in this. And so
Oh, yeah.
secrets get out, and I can tell they think stuff about me. And I like to let them have their assumptions of what we believe. But yeah, that's how I started this channel, was getting in trouble. And it's been a blessing ever since. I've had
Nice.
thousands of testimonies. And that's why if I wake up and I see a testimony of somebody, I mean, that just motivates me to do some more when I see that.
That's why I'm doing this. So this is
Yeah.
a good segue into
Mhm.
the principal office
Yeah.
story.
Yeah. Round two. Yeah. Round two of getting in trouble happened last spring. And it was miraculous. I mean, it was one of those things that when I got in trouble the first time, it was just me, because I had a channel by myself. And now, since we're the brothers, I have my twin brother, and we did one live hangout, just me and him. And we're talking to this guy, and he's like, I can't tell who's talking. You guys sound the same. And so I was like, I looked at my brother. I was like, you mean to just turn the cameras on? And he's like, go ahead. So we turned the cameras on. And of course, that opens up the world to seeing you. And then
Yep.
how the enemy works, they're always attacking you. Somebody calls, or they go straight to central office. They don't talk to me or whatever. And I don't think it was a parent. I do not think it was a parent. The narrative was it was a parent that called them, but I think it was one of the trolls that figured out who we were and pretended to be a parent. That's my guess. I could be wrong. But
know.
I'm in my class. I get a knock on the door, and it's like, hey, can you come down to my office? And they're real friendly. We have awesome administration, and I love them to death. It's new administration. The first time I got in trouble was a different administrator, but now it's new administration. And I don't want to say it's better, but I have a better sense from them spiritually that it's okay. They got my back. But I get called down, and they said, I need your brother too. So I went, I got him. I said, Michael, we're in trouble or something. I don't know. And so we both go down to the principal's office. I feel like we did back in elementary school. We used to get in trouble together when somebody would tell on us. So we'd get in a fight or something. We'd be down there together. And so we're down there, me and him, and they're kind of giggling. They think something's funny. And I'm like, I know what this is. I know they're going to talk about our channel. And so, of course, principal says, so what's this? Which one of you is online preaching that the world is flat? And I went, probably me. I was like, probably me. If you've seen somebody preaching about it, it's probably me. And she said, yeah, a parent called and said that two of our teachers had a channel that they talk about the world being flat. And that's alarming to them. That's upsetting. And I said, okay. I said, well, they said, is this true? And I go, 100%. I said, I'm a devout creationist. And I don't just believe that the world's flat. I can prove it. I know it is scientifically, and it's in the Bible. And so me and Michael, we just started tag teaming. We just started putting out things. We weren't thinking, it was just coming to us. And we started putting out some facts and information. And before we walked out of there, their eyes were just huge. And they're staring at us going like, wow. Like you could tell their minds were blown. They were trying to like take it all in. It's a lot to take in. But when we walked away, they said, well, we're okay as long as you guys teach to the standard and you don't let this impact your teaching. We're fine with it. And I said, okay, I won't let it. I'm not going to come in here and preach flat earth to my kids. I know that we're not in that type of world yet. It would be a fun debate. It'd be fun to do, but the world's not open to that yet. They'd put us in the news. And so it would be tough, but they said they're okay with it as long as I'm not teaching it at school, and I'm not yet. So we're in a good place. Me and my brother walked out, and we kind of like high-fived each other. He goes, I think we just woke a couple of people. We have two more on our side. So it's been a journey since then. So that was last spring, and here we are with all the madness in the world going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really cool story. I had to get you to share it.
Yeah. It's fun getting in trouble for the Father's truth. It's fun. It brings you joy because you think about all the people that have had so much worse throughout the Bible.
So besides cosmology, what would you say is your favorite topic when you study scripture?
Golly, see, that's where I'm not like everybody else. Like I like I'll go to like the end time stuff. And
Oh,
then I'm
yeah.
like, and I'll study that for a while. And I'm like,
Yep.
okay, that's pretty cool. Now let me go back to the creation stuff. And then, oh wait, what about the seed of Jacob? What does that mean? You know, because like I'm all over the place, and I keep everything like in Google Slides. I like going through the lost books like Enoch, Jubilees, Second Ezra is one of my favorites too. Like I like looking, or fourth book of Ezra, whichever one you call it. It just
Yeah.
opens up a lot of things. But I'm wanting to go. I want to read the entire word and go through it like very devoutly, and just go through it and understand the whole picture. I still like, because again, like I was old school when I got saved. I was, here's the New Testament. You got, and everybody tells you, you need to read this. This is our chapter. Read this. This is it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you don't even think about creation. It's just a side note. It's like, oh, firmament, Genesis, what? You know, like you don't even question anything about it because you're not really focused on it. And I think it was somebody at one of our meetups said, it's so important, creation, that he put it at the very beginning. In the beginning, like it's right there at the beginning. It is the
Nice.
foundation, and everything kind of builds off of that. And so
Yep.
it's helped me a lot. I'm not where everybody else is, like people like you and those who have been really diving into this stuff. I'm not on that level yet. And my wife, she doesn't really understand. She's like, how do you not understand, you know, all this? And I'm like, I'm not there yet. I'm trying. Like I do not want to be wrong. Like the Father's truth is so important. Like, even if it makes me look really dumb, if I have to grow a 10-foot beard, I don't care what I have to do. Like, I want to look the way he wants and act and walk.
I'm a little further than you.
Yeah, I know. See, yeah, I don't look like you. I'm not saying beards are dumb, but I'm like, I want to do what he wants. And that's tough. The further, and I think part of us, we kind of hold back because we're like, man, I'm already this person who looks like this complete fool. If I go further, I'm going to be so separated. Because like right now, it's like, the deeper you go, the more you separate yourself from worldly ways. You know, you're not doing Christmas anymore. You're not doing Halloween. People look at you funny when you're like not trick or treating and running around dressed like, you know, like demons and whatever else. That was some of my favorite. Yeah, that was my favorite thing to do, was Halloween and Christmas. Like, and they're always trying to get you to be in the Christmas spirit, in the Halloween spirit. You know, they add the word spirit to everything. Get in the team spirit, school spirit. And there's never a mention of the Holy Spirit. It's always get into these different spirits. And I feel like that's what we're doing. And it obsesses people. Some people are putting up Christmas lights year round so that they can have this spectacle once a year. And they're just trapped in that spirit. And it's a trap. And you don't realize it, but it's not. And they're called holidays, kind of like holy days with an I. And it takes away from like the stuff that you guys are into now with appointed times and knowing what's important to the Father as far as his calendar and how his calendar works. They've changed calendars. They've done everything they can.
Yep.
And I believe it was the devil that said he's going to put himself over the congregation. But that word congregation was appointed times. I forget which verse that was, but I have to look that up now. But yeah, he said he's going to.
Are you talking about Daniel? He said he's going to change appointed times. Is that the verse you're referring to?
Yeah, it was talking. It called it the congregation, but the word that it was, the original word was at Moedim or Moed, appointed times. Let's see, I've got it pulled up somewhere on my presentations. But
interesting.
I thought, man, it was somebody from Oklahoma that came all the way down here to one of our local small meetups and shared that with me. I was like, this may be something I need to look into, because I'd never looked into that. I didn't know that that's what that word meant. The word signs and seasons, I always thought was just like summer, spring, winter, fall seasons. Yeah. I didn't know that it meant appointed times.
It means appointed times.
There's a lot of things we just don't know, and that we're just now figuring out. And so it's extremely, extremely important to understand that there are some deceptive things that have happened, even with the scriptures, as far as moving words or just translating words differently. You know, a lot of people think that, oh, the King James, it's never been tampered with. It's perfect as is. And it's a great Bible. It's a great book. It's better than a lot of the others. And there are ones that come from different manuscripts, and you got to know what to look out for.
None of them are perfect.
Yeah. There's a reason we have not just 45,000 denominations, but we have many, many translations of the Bible. We can just grow like in just the English language. There's so many of them, and it's the most highly scrutinized text in the world. And there's a reason that it's banned, and you're not banning other books. But I found that verse. I thought it was in Psalms or something, but it's in Isaiah. It says, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning?
Yeah.
That one.
Okay.
How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation. And that word congregation meant appointed times in the sides of the north.
Really? Huh.
Mhm.
I'm about
So
to look that up later.
Yeah, I can send that to you. I thought that was an eye opener to me because I was like, I just thought he was going to be above all the congregations. I didn't realize it meant he's essentially has already created his own appointed times, and his version of creation is the one that we take. And if you look at the name solar system,
Oh
sun
man.
god worship is all throughout the Bible. The word
Yes.
soul is a prefix taken from the name Sol Invictus. Sol
Yep.
Invictus this was after Christ too. The Roman sun god Sol was one of their most powerful sun gods, and so Sol with AR means belonging to. It's a
Woo.
system that belongs to Sol. It belongs to their sun god. And so we're like
Wow.
solar system all throughout elementary school before we can read and write. We're singing those names of the
Yep.
false gods. And the Bible tells us not to even mention the names or utter the names of those false gods. And that is all throughout our education, days of the week, false god names. Planets, they're all named after false gods.
NASA missions.
Yeah. Yeah, the NASA missions, all of them are named after those Apollo and
Mercury,
even to this day,
yeah.
Artemis. Yeah, the Artemis missions are the new ones. And it's
There's-
like, why would they just happen to pick the two names for their missions that go to the moon, Artemis and Apollo, to be these demonic names? You know,
There's a new one called Osiris too.
Mm-hmm.
That's to honor their deities. That's
Yeah,
why they do it on
Osiris.
purpose.
Yeah, and they act like, oh, it's just mythology,
Oh,
but
it's just a name.
that mythology stuff, there's something to it. And in the book of Enoch, it even tells us a prophecy about this model, how it would come to being. And it's in chapter 80. If you want
Yes.
to look it up, it says,
Yeah.
many chiefs of the stars shall transgress the order prescribed, and these shall alter their orbits and task. And those chiefs of the stars are the ones that are named after false gods. We call them planets now. But it says they'll alter their orbits and task and not appear at the seasons prescribed to them. And the whole order of the stars shall be concealed from the sinners, and the thoughts of those on earth shall err concerning them. And this is why we thought they were giant balls of gas in a vacuum, or we thought stars were light years away. You know,
Yep.
we've been deceived just because these simple stars have left their orbit. The chiefs of the stars, or the brightest ones, have left their orbital paths. And so we have definitely, what it says, taken them to be gods, and it's that evil shall be multiplied upon them. So lots of truth in these books here that we thought were just kind of not really science books, and they actually are history and science.
Yeah, I used to be like, blah, Jubilees and Enoch. I'm like, why are y'all reading that? So in a totally different direction, what does your family like to do on Sabbath?
It's been a big shift for me because when I married my wife, she was Adventist. She was raised Adventist.
Okay.
And so we were different. I was coaching on Saturdays. I competed. When I was competing, see, the Father put me into wrestling to bring me to Him, to teach me how to pray and
Nice.
to teach me how to do things. Because when I got into wrestling, I was just this turd kid, misled, didn't have any desire to go to college, no desire to finish high school, like no ambition. We wanted to be like, we were real big. Me and my brother were really big into like fighting movies and fighting. And we thought we'd be fighters, kind of like Jean-Claude Van Damme. And we were obsessed with that, but that was about it. We didn't have really a whole lot of aim and direction. And wrestling came into the picture when I was a freshman. We never did any sports ever in middle school or anything. And then wrestling comes along, and a coach came up to us when we were getting picked on in the cafeteria by this senior and trying to stand up to him. Well, here comes the coach to talk to us. And he's like, hey, what are y'all doing after school? And we're like, nothing. And he said, well, come wrestle. So here we go. Nothing but khaki shorts, socks, no workout clothes. We didn't know what we were doing. And he was laughing at us because we were so bad. He was kind of putting his hand over his mouth and like laughing. Now that I look back as a coach, I know what he was doing. But he saw something in us, and he took us under his wing and became like a dad to us. And that taught me how to pray, because I had someone tell me, just pray that you can win, and pray a lot that you can win, and they were teaching me wrong how to pray. I didn't know that. I was like, just like, okay. And he said, if you pray harder, God will have favor over you and you'll win. And I was like, okay, got it, check. So I'm going to pray to win. And so I did that, and I kept losing because, of course, I didn't know anything about the sport, and I didn't know anything about praying. And I remember getting mad and going, why can't I win? I'm praying to win all the time. I devote like 2 hours per night to just let me win. Amen. Let me win. And so I cared about winning. I really wanted to be the best, and I believed I was, and that was tough to swallow. But then one day I went to this church with my uncle who had gotten saved, and underneath the bench in front of me was a little pamphlet. It said an athlete's prayer, and it showed you step by step how to pray and how God doesn't have favorites, and to dedicate your works to Him. And so I was already fasting to make weight. I was already starving myself, which was dumb, but I didn't realize it was humbling me when I'm laying there at night and I've gone 3 days without eating and I'm praying. Like it just, I started to feel myself change. I started to be at peace, and I started winning these battles that I shouldn't have won because I was at peace. I had no fear. I just felt like I'm going into battle and I'm just as calm as I've ever been. And it was amazing. So I started realizing there was power when you walk with the Father and you talk to Him all the time, and you're humble and you're doing things for the right reason, and you're not doing it to be seen. And that's a hard part when you're an athlete, not doing it to be seen. It's like, look at me, look what I just did. It became all about Him and not about me. And that's when I started seeing other people change. And
nice.
My brother and I had this really great experience where people would start wanting to come with us and pray under the bleachers and pray and and do the same things we were doing, and not being really arrogant. And so it really helped us out. We became part of the state championship team. Just had a lot of fun, but the Father used that as like this stepping stool to get me to college and to help me get where I'm at now. And so coming out of that, I was competing every Saturday. I mean, except for college became more of like, they did their tournaments on Sundays for some reason, but that's when I was competing. And so my mind was like, well, the Father blessed me with that. And I didn't know anything about Sabbath. I thought Sunday was the Lord's day, And so that was where I came from. So here I am, married to my Seventh-day Adventist, and I'm coaching on the weekends. And she's like, you shouldn't do that. And I'm like, I'm ministering to these kids. These kids need me. Like, I'm not doing physical labor. I'm just over here sitting in a corner, talking to kids. And so we justify things. And I've never, and it's weird. She has a strong conviction about that. And I never had like this super strong conviction that I have with other things, with you shouldn't be doing this. And I'm like, and I feel like I'm just waiting for him to go, stop, stop coaching these kids. But it's a tough spot to be in, because it's a small window of the year where we are from about October 25th is when we start. And then it's almost every weekend until mid-February. And so I'll be doing that. But when I'm not doing that, we stay home every Sabbath. We sit home, the kids and her, and we don't do technology. And if there is a cartoon playing, it's like a Bible cartoon where they're learning about the Bible. And we sit and just read and study the whole entire day until sunsets. And so it's almost like a long church day. Like some people go for 2 hours, and we sit there in the living room for 7 or 8 hours, just reading, talking. And
that's awesome.
Yeah. It's helped me grow a lot, and it's helped her grow a lot. She's more of a studious person. Like if you want to talk to a Bible scholar, like she's up there with like Sean Griffin and people like she and you guys, like she's one of those people when she has a class, and I watched her do her master's program for math, which is insane. And she would get the textbook, a textbook that would be this thick, and she would read it before the class started.
Oh my.
I was like, who does that? And she's
not
like,
me.
yeah. Like, she's like, I don't feel like I'm able to speak and teach. I don't know enough. And I'm like, mountains more than anybody on the internet that's teaching. But
I could tell at the meetup. Yeah, I could tell she studied.
Yeah, she has. And it's pitiful when I watch somebody like, we had some churchgoers, neighbors that came over to our door, and they were doing a nice thing. They're like, hey, do you want to come to our church? And we're like, well, just come on in, let's talk. And they were thinking they're going to come in, educate us, and get us to go to the church and have this conversation. And they didn't know my background or her background whatsoever. Like I'd never met the guy. Boy. And we live out in the sticks too. So I don't think he didn't know what he was walking into. And so I think it was Church of Christ. And so she was like, I didn't know anything about Church of Christ. I'd never been to a Church of Christ, and I like a lot of the things they do, though, going door to door, getting people, being active. But man, it became this huge like debate of, they were like, oh, the Old Testament doesn't matter. You don't even need to read it. And my wife's like, what? And it was like, they're like, well, yeah, that's before us. This is our chapter right here. We don't need that whatsoever. And so we ended up getting into like, I don't get heated. I stay super cool. Like I try to be like really calm, but Amber, she's not going to hold back. she gets pretty intense. It's awesome seeing her like, and I felt bad because the poor neighbor guy, he goes, I'm going to come back and bring someone who knows a lot more about the Bible with me. So he brought his buddy. I was like, this still isn't going to go good for you, man. Just bow out while you're ahead. But they came back and they were like, they gave us a pamphlet. My mother-in-law goes, they're going to bring a pamphlet and they're going to try to get you to go through it and kind of like take certain verses, and get you to agree with each verse and not have any context with it. And it seems like a good strategy if you're trying to make sure, okay, you believe that it's in the Bible. Okay. If you don't, then you don't agree with the Bible. And so I think it works with a lot of people, but with Amber, she would be like, hold on, what does it say before that and after that? Okay.
Context is king.
Yeah. Yeah. So the context there was, and they were good, humble people. They were wanting to save us from dying and burning forever. That's kind of how they looked at it. And it was sad that they wouldn't listen to a lot of things we had to say. And I sent them some of my videos. I said, creation is true 100%. I could show you proof. And they're like, well, then where's faith if you have proof? And I'm like, it says to prove all things. And they're like, where's the faith? I'm like, that is faith. I trust that it's true. So I could look at the evidence and prove it's true. It was just different beliefs. They've lived that way their entire life. And I think the Father understands that there's people that's just how they're devoted to that way of thinking, and they're working for him in some way, in their own heart. So I'm sure he honors that.
So this is awesome. I'm going to wrap it up. So what are some parting words of wisdom you want to share with anybody that might be listening on the podcast or watching this on YouTube?
Yeah. Be careful. Be careful when you ask for things, because the Father is listening. He is real. He hears you. He hears your words. And the crazy thing that blows me away that I still don't understand is he wants time with us. And that is the humbling part of it. Like, why? And I've asked him that, and he reveals to me how precious you guys are. And that's what humbles me. It's like, how do you look at me like that? How do you look at these people like that? And it's something I asked him when I was a teenager too. And he showed me, because I remember I just felt like so corrupt and so lustful, and I kept messing up, and he kept just working on my heart. And I said, how do you love somebody like me? This piece of I just looked at myself like trash. Like, how do you love somebody like me? And I was walking through the halls of school one day and looking at people, and he just opened my eyes to how he sees. He does not see.
Wow, that's cool.
What the way we see. He sees the hurt. He sees that you're being misled. Like Jesus after the beheading of John the Baptist, he looked at them like lost sheep, and he had compassion when he wanted to go and cry and grieve, like kind of like all of us do right now with Rob Skiba passing away. He said, he saw them as lost sheep. And so they need to be fed. They need to be shown what the Father's will is. And he's the only one to do it perfectly. And so with that example, follow that example. You can't go wrong if you're doing things the way he did and going out. And that's one thing he told me was make time with me a priority, just like my son did. And that really, it was a really sad tone that he said, look, just use my son as an example. I want you to make time with me a priority. And I was like, man, he was always going off to the wilderness and up in the mountains and praying
for days.
Yeah. And we take that for granted, that is just right outside your door. That's right inside your closet. That's as you're walking down the halls at work. That's everywhere. It's in your car when you can be going, I have to get up and go to work, like just be thankful and humble, and stay humble, because we don't know everything. Some of us may be way higher than others, but stay humble, because we're still scraping the surface on how deep truth goes.
Amen. So what's the best place people can find you online? Obviously,
the best
YouTube.
Place. Yeah. YouTube for now. I'm hoping the Father's protected us there and kept us going strong there. And so I'm hoping that stays a thing. If not, all of our videos are backed up on Odyssey, or LBRY is what it used to be called. And send us an email anytime if you have a question. flatearthbrothers@gmail.com. That's our email. You can send it there, and I try to check those. I do now check them daily. Used to I check them like every other day, but I'm starting to check them daily. And so any questions you have, if you think you want to insult us, whatever, the Father's given me love towards people that come in to insult, and it's made a difference. That's one of the things. It's easy to get a chip on your shoulder because you're gonna get attacked. If you're starting to investigate this, you will find out it's true.
The trolls will come out to you.
Yeah. You're going to get a lot of hate, but it's the spirit of the Antichrist at work that's been at work since the Messiah was here. So the same types of interactions with Pharisees is going to be everyday people that they don't realize they're under that spiritual influence. So just pray for them and send them kindness, be kind and don't condemn. Don't be like, you're wrong. The Bible says it's flat and you're an idiot. Like, never use that approach, just
don't worry.
Just pique their interest. Yeah. I've never had anybody, I've never seen a testimony of somebody said, yeah, they just insulted me and called me a globetard. And now here I am. I believe it's flat. Yeah.
Don't work that way. So I'll leave a description to Josh's channel. I'll leave a link to Josh's channel in description. So thank you for your time, brother. It was awesome.
Yeah.
You have an awesome rest of your evening.
You too, brother.